You ever feel like you're a background character in your own life? Like you're standing in a room full of people, talking at the top of your lungs, but everyone is just looking right through you. It's a heavy, hollow feeling. It's that sting in your chest when you realize you just said yes to something that makes you miserable, simply because you were too afraid to see the look on someone else's face if you said no. We've all been there. You're at work, or maybe with your friends, and you let a small comment slide. Someone takes a dig at you, disguises it as a joke, and you laugh along. You betray yourself just to keep the peace. You think you're being a good person or easygoing, but let's call it what it really is. You're auditioning for the lead role in a life that belongs to everyone else but you. You are handing over the keys to your self-respect in exchange for a handful of social likes that don't even pay the rent in your soul. Here is the cold, hard truth that most people are too scared to tell you. If you don't set your own price, the world will always buy you at a discount. If you act like a doormat, don't be surprised when people start wiping their boots on your back. It's not that they're all villains, it's that human beings are wired to test boundaries. If you don't have any, they'll keep walking until they hit a wall. And right now, there is no wall. There's just you, shrinking yourself down, hoping that if you get small enough, nobody will notice you're hurting. But what if I told you that 2,000 years ago, a group of the toughest, most unbreakable minds to ever walk the earth found the cheat code for this? I'm talking about the Stoics. These weren't guys sitting in ivory towers talking about abstract ideas. These were emperors leading massive armies and slaves who rose to become teachers of kings. They knew something we've forgotten. They knew that your importance isn't something you beg for. It's not something you get because you were nice enough or helpful enough. It is something you command by the way you carry your own mind. The Stoics didn't care about being liked. They cared about being just. They didn't care about being popular. They cared about being excellent. They understood a psychological trigger that most people today completely miss. People don't respect those who please them. They respect those who respect themselves. Think about that for a second. Every time you people please, you think you're building a bridge. In reality, you're digging a hole. You think you're making them like you more, but you're actually making it impossible for them to respect you. Because how can anyone value a person who doesn't even value their own word, their own time, or their own peace of mind? We are about to dive into 5 brutal, life-altering lessons that will flip the script on how you see yourself and how the world sees you. This isn't about becoming a jerk. This isn't about being loud or aggressive. This is about developing a quiet inner strength that is so loud you never have to raise your voice again. It's about building a version of you that is so grounded, so certain, and so important to yourself that the opinions of others start to feel like background noise. Like the hum of a refrigerator you eventually stop hearing. If you're tired of feeling like an afterthought, if you're done with the nice guy or good girl tax that's draining your bank account of happiness, then pay close attention. We aren't just learning how to not lower ourselves. We are learning how to become the person who defines the room the moment they walk in. The first shift starts with understanding the ghost of approval. We spend our lives chasing a ghost that doesn't even exist. We think if we do enough, give enough, and bend enough, we will finally reach that safe zone where everyone thinks we're great. But look around. Is it working? Or are you just more tired than you were yesterday? The problem with trying to be liked is that it's a moving target. You're trying to hit a bullseye on a board that someone else is shaking. One day they want you to be funny. The next day, They're annoyed that you're not taking things seriously. One day they want your help, the next they resent you for being too involved. You are exhausting yourself trying to solve an equation where the variables change every 5 minutes. The Stoics had a better way. They called it the Dichotomy of Control. It sounds fancy, but it's actually the simplest, most powerful tool in your psychological toolkit. It's the art of knowing what is yours to carry and what is trash you've been picking up from other people's yards. Imagine you're a professional athlete. You can control how hard you train, what you eat, and how much sleep you get. You can control your focus during the game. But can you control the weather? Can you control the referee's bad call? Can you control the fans in the stands screaming that you're a failure? Of course not. If you spend the whole game arguing with the ref or crying about the rain, you're going to lose. Not because the ref was bad, but because you stopped playing the game. Most of us are losing the game of life because we are obsessed with the referees, the co-workers, the neighbors, the random people on social media. We give them the power to ruin our day with a single look or a missed text. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world at his time, sat in his tent on the front lines of a war and wrote to himself, "It never ceases to amaze me." We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Read that again. It's a gut punch, isn't it? You value your own life, but you let a stranger's comment dictate your mood. That is the ultimate form of lowering yourself. You are making yourself a slave to someone who probably hasn't even thought about you in the last 10 minutes. So, how do we fix it? We start by building what I call the inner fortress. In the US, we're taught that our worth is tied to our net worth or our social network. But a Stoic knows that your worth is tied to your character, the one thing nobody can take away from you unless you give it up. Think about a diamond. You can throw a diamond in the mud. You can spray paint it black. You can bury it under a mountain of trash. Does it stop being a diamond? No. The moment you wash the mud off, it's just as hard and just as brilliant as it was before. Your value is that diamond. The mud is the gossip, the disrespect, and the times you were passed over for a promotion. It's messy, sure, but it doesn't change the chemical structure of who you are. The only person who can lower you is you, by agreeing with the mud. By saying, "Yeah, I guess I am just a dirty rock." When you stop seeking external validation, you stop being a beggar. And a beggar can never be important. A beggar is always at the mercy of whoever has the spare change. When you decide that your internal price tag is non-negotiable, something weird happens. People start to feel that energy. They realize they can't buy your peace of mind with a little bit of drama. They see that you aren't looking for their permission to exist. And ironically, that is exactly when they start to value you. It's like that old saying, stop chasing butterflies. Mend your garden, and the butterflies will come to you, and if they don't, you still have a beautiful garden. We've spent way too long chasing butterflies that don't even like us. It's time to pick up the shovel and start working on the garden. This leads us directly into a hard truth about your circle. We like to think we can stay important while surrounding ourselves with people who treat us like an option. We think we can be a high-value person while hanging out with people who thrive on low-value drama. But as the saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those 5 people don't respect themselves, how on earth are they ever going to respect you? Let's get real about your crew. We all have those friends, the ones who only call when they need a favor, or the co-workers who only talk to you when they want to vent about their own drama. You think you're being a good friend by listening for the 100th time to the same recycled complaints. You think you're being loyal. But there's a massive difference between loyalty and being a dumping ground for someone else's emotional trash. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, a man who started life as a slave and ended it as one of the most respected minds in history, had a very blunt rule about this. He said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." Notice he didn't say people who are nice to you or people you've known since kindergarten. He said people who uplift you. If you're hanging out with people who constantly complain, gossip, or belittle your ambitions, they are slowly poisoning your well. You might think you're strong enough to resist it, but you're not. It's like trying to stay dry while standing in the middle of a car wash. Eventually, the water gets through. In the US, we have this obsession with fitting in. From middle school all the way to the corporate boardroom, the pressure to be one of the guys or not act better than anyone else is suffocating. But here's the Stoic flip. If you have to dim your light just so others don't feel blinded, you're in the wrong room. When you allow yourself to be surrounded by low-energy behavior, you are silently telling the universe and yourself that this is all you deserve. You are accepting a discounted version of life. You're like a high-performance sports car sitting in a garage full of rusted-out scrap metal. After a while, you start to look like scrap metal too. True importance starts with the power of the no. This is the hardest muscle to build, but it's the only one that actually protects your time. Think about your time like actual cash in your hand. If a stranger walked up to you on the street and asked for $50, you'd probably tell them to get lost. But when someone asks for an hour of your time to help them move, or to listen to their gossip, or to do a task that isn't your job, you give it away for free. Why? Because we're addicted to the validation high. We want that person to think, "Wow, they're so helpful." But guess what? While you're busy being helpful to them, you're being a traitor to yourself. You're neglecting your goals, your rest, and your own peace. Every yes you give to someone else is a no you're giving to your own future. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, which is basically a fancy way of saying expecting the worst. Now that sounds depressing, but it's actually a superpower. If you go into a conversation expecting that someone might be offended when you say no, it loses its power over you. You stop being surprised by people's reactions. When you finally start setting these boundaries, some people are going to get mad. They'll call you selfish or say you've changed. Let them. That's just the sound of their free ride ending. The people who truly value you will actually respect you more when they see you have a backbone. They'll realize your yes actually means something because you're capable of saying no. It's about moving from being a reactive person to an active person. A reactive person waits to see how others feel before they decide how to act. An active person knows their values, knows their limits, and moves through the world like a boulder in a stream. The water can splash, it can scream, it can push, but the boulder stays exactly where it's supposed to be. Are you the water, or are you the boulder? Are you moving because the wind blew, or are you staying put because you know who you are? Being important doesn't mean having 1,000,000 followers. It means being the one person in your life that you can actually count on. It means being the person who doesn't fold the moment things get uncomfortable. This brings us to a concept that might sting a little, but it's the medicine you need: the trap of the victim. In the US, we love a good underdog story. But we've also developed a culture where it's almost trendy to talk about how the world is doing us dirty. We blame the economy. We blame our parents. We blame the toxic boss who won't give us a break. And while those things might be real, the Stoics would look you dead in the eye and ask, "Okay, but what are you going to do about it?" There's a massive difference between being a victim of a situation and adopting a victim identity. When you adopt the identity, you are essentially declaring yourself powerless. You're saying, "I am not important enough to change my own life, so I'll just wait for someone else to fix it for me." Spoiler alert, nobody is coming. There is no life manager who is going to swoop in and hand you a trophy for having the hardest life. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that. How many hours have you spent rehearsing an argument in your head with someone who offended you? How many nights have you lost sleep imagining all the ways people might be judging you? You are literally torturing yourself over things that haven't even happened. You are lowering yourself to a version of reality that only exists in your own skull. Real importance comes from emotional sovereignty. That's just a fancy way of saying you own your own feelings. You are the CEO of your internal state. If someone cuts you off in traffic and you spend the next 20 minutes screaming and pounding the steering wheel, who is in charge? Not you. That random driver just became your master. They pulled a string and you danced like a puppet. A Stoic aims to be un-pullable. You acknowledge the event. Someone was rude, someone lied, someone was late, and you move on. You don't let it penetrate the inner fortress we talked about earlier. Because the moment you let someone else's bad behavior dictate your internal peace, you've handed them the remote control to your life. And why would you give the remote to someone who doesn't even like you? This is where amor fati comes in. The love of fate. It's the ultimate American power move. Instead of wishing things were different, you embrace exactly what is happening right now, as if you had chosen it yourself. If you get passed over for a promotion, instead of moping, you say, "Great. This is the fuel I need to level up my skills, so I'm undeniable next time." If a relationship ends, you say, "Good. This is the space I need to find someone who actually deserves me." You stop being a leaf blown by the wind and start being the wind itself. You take the trash the world throws at you and you turn it into compost for your garden. That is what a high-value person does. They don't wait for the perfect conditions. They make the conditions perfect by how they react to them. But let's talk about the approval junkie inside all of us. We live in the era of the like button. We've been conditioned to think that if someone doesn't validate our struggle or our success, it didn't really happen. We post our workouts, our meals, and our deep thoughts just to see that little red notification pop up. But here's the problem. If you live for their likes, you will die by their dislikes. If you need their applause to feel big, you will feel microscopic the moment the room goes silent. The Stoics practiced self-validation. They did the right thing because it was the right thing, not because anyone was watching. Imagine you're building a house. Do you care more about what the people driving by think of the color of the curtains, or do you care about the strength of the foundation? Most of us are obsessed with the curtains while the foundation is rotting away. We want the aesthetic of being important without doing the boring work of actually being a person of substance. Being important means being the person who can sit in a room alone, with no phone and no audience, and still feel like they are enough. It means your self-worth isn't a stock price that goes up and down based on the market of other people's opinions. It's a fixed asset. This leads us to a silent killer of self-respect, the habit of over-explaining yourself. Have you ever noticed that when you turn down an invite or make a decision for your own well-being, you start rambling? You give 15 reasons why you can't make it. Oh, my car is acting up and I think I'm coming down with a cold, and my cousin is visiting. Stop right there. Why are you auditioning for their permission? When you over-explain, you are subconsciously signaling that they are the judge and you are the defendant. You are handing them a clipboard and asking them to grade your life choices. A person of true importance doesn't need to justify their no. I can't make it, but thanks for thinking of me is a complete sentence. The Stoic teacher Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In the US, we are terrified of looking like we don't know what's going on. We want to be the smartest person in the room, the one with all the answers. But the importance trap is thinking that your value comes from your status or your brain power. It doesn't. It comes from your ability to remain unshakable when people misunderstand you. Think about it. If someone calls you a jerk because you set a boundary, and you spend 3 days trying to prove to them that you're actually a nice person, who won? They did. They occupied 3 days of your mental real estate for free. They moved into your head, put their feet up on the furniture, and didn't pay a dime in rent. The Stoics practiced social fasting. Just like people fast from food to reset their bodies, you need to fast from the opinions of others to reset your soul. You have to get comfortable with being the villain in someone else's story. Because here is the secret: you cannot be the hero of your own life while trying to be the hero in everyone else's. Someone, somewhere, is always going to think you're the bad guy for not giving them what they wanted. Let them. Their version of you isn't your responsibility. This brings us to the mirror of action. We talk a lot about what we want to be, but we don't be it. We say we want respect, but we don't respect our own schedules. We say we want to be important, but we waste 4 hours a day scrolling through the lives of people we don't even like. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In modern terms, stop posting inspirational quotes on your story and start living them when no one is looking. Real importance is built in the dark. It's the workout you did when you were tired. It's the book you read instead of the show you binged. It's the no you said to a toxic ex when you were feeling lonely. When you start acting with this kind of integrity, you develop a weight. Have you ever met someone who just seems heavy in a good way, like they have gravity? That's not because they're loud, it's because they are consistent. Their inside matches their outside. They don't have to lower themselves because they are anchored to their own values. The world is full of balloons, people who are full of hot air, drifting wherever the social wind blows them. One day they're into this, the next day they're into that. They're loud, they're colorful, but they have zero substance. Don't be a balloon, be the anchor. When the storms of life hit, and they will hit, the balloons get popped or blown away. But the anchor? The anchor holds. If you want to be important, you have to be the person who can hold their ground when everyone else is drifting. You have to be the one who stays calm when the referee makes a bad call. You have to be the one who doesn't need a like to know they've done a good job. This leads us to one of the most uncomfortable truths in the Stoic playbook, the trap of seeking fairness. In the US, we are raised on the idea that if we are good, good things should happen to us. We think that if we treat people with respect, they owe us respect back. And when they don't, we feel lowered. We get indignant. We spend hours venting to our friends about how unfair it is that the loudest, rudest person in the office got the promotion, or how the person we helped out ended up stabbing us in the back. Marcus Aurelius had a reality check for this 2,000 years ago. He told himself every morning, "Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He didn't say this to be a pessimist, he said it to be bulletproof. If you expect everyone to be fair, you are giving every jerk on the planet the power to ruin your day. You are literally making your happiness dependent on the moral character of strangers. Does that sound like the life of an important person to you? Real importance comes from the internal scorecard. Think about a championship basketball team. They don't look at the scoreboard after every single play. They focus on the process, the footwork, the passing, the defense. If they play the right way, the score takes care of itself. Most of us are so obsessed with the score, the recognition, the thank yous, the status, that we forget to actually play the game. When you stop demanding that the world be fair, you gain a massive competitive advantage. You stop wasting energy on resentment. While everyone else is busy being offended, you are busy being effective. You become the person who can walk through a storm of nonsense and not get a drop of mud on your suit. That kind of emotional stability is terrifying to people who live in chaos. They see you, and they realize they can't get to you. That is true power. But let's talk about the ghost of comparison. We live in the age of the highlight reel. You're sitting on your couch, feeling low, and you scroll through social media only to see someone your age buying a house, getting married, or traveling the world. Suddenly, your life feels small. You feel less than. You start to believe that you aren't important because you don't have the props of importance. Stoicism teaches us that comparison is the fastest way to commit psychological suicide. Every second you spend looking at someone else's lane is a second you aren't looking at yours. You're like a runner who looks over their shoulder to see where the competition is, only to trip over their own feet. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "Blessed is the man who can be as happy with himself as if he were another." Imagine if you treated yourself with the same fascination and respect you give to your idols. Imagine if you were as invested in your own growth as you are in some influencer's vacation. Being important isn't about being better than someone else. It's about being better than the version of you that woke up yesterday. It's about compete with self mode. When you're in that mode, the outside world loses its sting. Someone bought a mansion? Cool. Did I master my temper today? Yes. Someone got 1,000,000 views? Great. Did I keep my promise to myself to work out? Yes. That internal yes is worth more than 1,000,000 external likes. It's the sound of a foundation being poured. It's the sound of a person who is finally becoming unlowerable. Because when you are the one setting the standards, you are the only one who can tell you if you failed. This brings us to the final, most crucial piece of the puzzle, the art of the clean exit. In life, you're going to find yourself in situations that no longer serve you, toxic jobs, draining friendships, or one-sided relationships. Most people stay too long. They try to fix the other person, or they stay out of a false sense of guilt. They lower themselves day after day, hoping things will change. A Stoic knows when the room is no longer for them. They don't leave in a huff. They don't leave with a dramatic speech or a bridge-burning email. They just leave. They withdraw their presence quietly and firmly, because they know that their presence is a gift, and if it isn't being valued, it's time to take the gift back. This brings us to the final, most important pillar of your new life, the power of the silent exit. In the US, we're obsessed with having the last word. We want to win the breakup. We want to tell off the boss, and we want everyone on social media to know exactly why we're walking away. We think that if we don't make a scene, we haven't truly stood up for ourselves. But a Stoic knows that a loud exit is actually a sign of weakness. It shows that you're still hooked on their reaction. If you need them to understand why you're leaving, you're still asking for their permission to go. True importance is the ability to walk away from anything that lowers you without feeling the need to explain, justify, or argue. Your absence should be the only message they need. Think about a high-end brand. They don't chase you down the street begging you to buy their products. They don't send you angry emails if you walk out of the store empty-handed. They know their value. If you can't afford it or you don't appreciate it, that's a you problem, not a them problem. They just keep being elite. You need to become an elite brand. When someone treats you like an option, you don't beg to be a priority. You simply remove yourself from the menu. You don't do it to punish them. You do it to protect your own inventory, your time, your energy, and your soul. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." If someone is rude, don't be rude back. If someone is flaky, don't become flaky to get them back. Just be the person who doesn't have time for that level of noise. When you stop reacting to low-level behavior, you stop being on that level. You literally vibrate at a different frequency. People start to notice that you aren't reachable by drama anymore. That is when they start to treat you with a different kind of gravity. We've covered 5 brutal lessons today: building your inner fortress, mastering the no, escaping the victim trap, starving the approval junkie, and the art of the silent exit. These aren't just tips. They are the bricks of a new foundation. If you actually apply these, not just think about them, but live them when the pressure is on, you will look back in 6 months and not even recognize the person who used to let people walk all over them. You'll realize that importance was never something out there in the world. It was never in a title, a paycheck, or a follow account. It was the quiet, steady voice inside you that said, "I am enough, and I will not betray myself for a seat at a table where I'm not respected." The world is always going to try to lower you. It's the gravity of human nature. But now, you have the tools to stay upright. You have the Stoic cheat code. You are no longer a background character. You are the author, the director, and the lead of your own story. If this message hit home for you today, if it gave you the spark you needed to stop shrinking and start standing tall, do us a huge favor. Like this video, share it with someone who's currently playing small, and subscribe to Stoic Origin. We're building a community of people who refuse to be discounted. Join us, and let's keep building that inner fortress together. The game has changed. You've set your price. Now, go out there and live like you're worth every cent.